Is this the answer? Is this the approach as part of the affordability piece that the administration is talking about? Getting our arms around rising energy prices and specifically energy bills could be a very big component here when we consider the demand for power because of the data centers and the AI race that's consuming states around the country. Does big tech foot the bill?
Well, let me tell you something. First of all, I got to put my salesman hat on here. Nebraska is in a much different position than Pennsylvania. Over 100 years ago, now listen to this, over 100 years ago, we changed our state constitution. All of our power in the state of Nebraska is public power. It has to be by law. And our power companies need to provide the lowest cost energy possible. According to the Nebraska Department of Water, Energy, and Environment, as of 2024, Nebraska's average electricity price is the third lowest rate in the country, based on the latest federal figures. Nationally, electricity in my state costs 30% more than it does in Nebraska. That's why Meta, Google, and so many others have built data centers here. So while Pennsylvania, California, they are dealing with this energy issue, here in Nebraska, we are some of the cheapest in the country, and that's why people should move to a state like ours, because building.
Understood. Does that mean you're inoculated from this trend, though? If I want to come and open a big data center in Nebraska, do you want me on your grid, or do you want me to provide my own power?
Well, we have to have a partnership, and that's what we've been talking about. Our governor's proposing to allow a behind-the-meter generation to ensure that power generation keeps up with the needs in the area of AI. So we have a head start on every other state, but to your point, it's going to have to be a partnership. You can't just show up and take when we have to make sure we meet the needs of all the industries. But we have seen a lot of power needing businesses that have come here, and generation is on the table. We're talking about small nuclear reactors right now. That would go a very long way, I think, in Nebraska, and we are part of a multi-state effort to do that.
Congressman, as you said, you're home to data centers from Alphabet, Google, from Meta. But as you know, when they come to town, they take some power, but they don't necessarily bring the jobs. So what is the best way to keep up with the electricity demands in the future?
Well, and I think that's one of the questions that we have to have is, like, if you want to bring your data center here and you don't want to bring the jobs that are associated with it, is there another company that wants to do that? Like, I think as economic developers, as people who want to build opportunities for these very smart kids that come off the farm, we should prioritize those businesses that find it a way to have their employees work here as well as use our natural resources. Listen, we have an underground freshwater ocean called the Ogallala Aquifer. We have the natural resources that the rest of the country doesn't. We have water, we have electricity, we have land, we have zoning, and we are business friendly. Our juries are conservative. This is a great place to do business, but we want to do business with companies that want to locate jobs, invest in our communities, and take advantage of our natural resources, but fairly compensate us for that. So it's a balance in order to find those companies. But if you want a free ride and you want to come take from a state like Nebraska, we are less interested in that than some company that wants to come here and really invest everything.
Really amazing how data center has become this kitchen table issue, Congressman. I want to ask you about another, and that's interest rates, and by way of the Fed, with your financial services hat on. Remarkable moment today when Donald Trump was talking about his looming pick to be the next Fed chair. You know, we talk about the Kevins, the two Kevins, a lot. Listen to what Donald Trump said today, and we'll get your reaction.
I actually want to keep you where you are, if you want to know the truth. Kevin Hassett is so good. I'm saying, wait a minute. If I move them, these Fed guys, certainly the one we have now, they don't talk much. I would lose you. It's a serious concern to me. So I just want to say thank you very much. You've done incredible. We don't want to lose him, Susie, but we'll see how it all works out.
I don't want to lose him, Susie. We thought Kevin Hassett had this in the bag. He was said to be at the top of the list, Congressman. Is the next Fed chair Kevin Warsh?
He's probably like, oh, man, can you imagine? I get what the president's saying. You know, like, the personal connection to his cabinet is important to him. And he's got somebody there that he trusts, that he relies on, that, is doing a good job for the nation. Listen, this is going to be a very important choice for the president. There's going to be more than one capable name that's going to be floated out there. I'm not going to weigh in on any single candidate's prospects, but this is clearly important to the president.
So the Main Street Caucus at this point does not have a top choice.
No. We're going to let the president kind of make that decision. But, French Hill is not only the chairman of the financial services, he's also a very active member of the Main Street Caucus. French, and as he's led our committee, we've been pretty clear as a committee that we're not going to weigh in on any single candidate's prospects. This is the president's choice. Certainly, there are going to be some very good options for him. This will be a long-term decision for our country, and I'm confident he'll make the right choice.
Let's talk about congressional matters for a moment, Congressman. When it comes to funding specifically, one of the least reported stories has been the fact that it's looking a little bit like regular order, at least a little bit closer in the House with a series of minibuses passing. It looks like with a short-term CR, tell me if I'm wrong, we might actually have a budget come together maybe early February. That's what Sarah Chamberlain from the Main Street Republican Partnership told us earlier today. I'm just wondering your thoughts specifically on DHS funding. Democrats want some language in that bill to address the way ICE raids, the way federal enforcement has been happening in cities around the country that might include body cams, for instance, or unmasking for some of these officers. What would you be comfortable with? Is there a deal in the works?
Well, let's remember that a lot of these ICE agents are targeted by organized crime rings called cartels. We seem to gloss over this all the time. But when ICE is enforcing, whether it's in Minnesota or Nebraska or in Texas, they are often dealing with organized criminals that are part of a Mexican drug cartel that put out, death threats and sometimes act on those things of these ICE agents. So, listen, we have to let law enforcement enforce the law. There are reasons that they do wear those masks. It is not to, it is to protect the safety of the officer and.
How about other than masks, though? How about cameras and training for de-escalation, for instance? Would those be palatable?
I would be, I will leave that up to the executive branch, but I do think cameras are a good idea. I think cameras have done a good job of protecting a lot of law enforcement from claims that are inaccurate. And when you talk to police officers, they say, hey, love the body cams. They've prevented a lot of bad things from happening. And in fact, when that officer was in that very tragic situation last week, he was holding his camera, videoing that. He should have had a body camera on so he didn't have to hold it up.